I know I'm a little late to the party on this news story from Jason Schreier in Bloomberg a week ago. It sure did drop some juicy details about GTA 6 and how it might turn out. And if you follow game journalism at all, you know Jason's a pretty reputable source. However, his sources are all anonymous, and he drops a lot of random details in this story. So I'm here to break down what is the most important and what we should pay attention to, and what is to be ignored. In my opinion, the first and most important detail to recognize is the release date set for GTA 6, or the lack thereof. Rockstar is thinking ballpark figure 2024, but I guarantee you it's 2025 at least, before we see it. GTA games are some of the most complex and feature-rich environments in all of gaming. To think they're not going to have some setbacks and be forced to push back a release date is just naive.
Sweet naive Francine. That's so stupid.
GTA 6 has already been delayed by a decade. What's another month or two? The beginning of 2025 is 2.5 years away. So much could change in that time.
Why, you could wake up dead tomorrow.
That's enough time that even society could do a complete 180, and the culture of this easily offended could be completely gone by then. Who knows? That's why ultimately this news doesn't mean anything, but it's GTA 6, so we all salivate over it.
What's your name?
But Jason fills this article with enough clickbaity hot takes
Hotter than 3 rats fornicating in a wool sock.
for us to create a real good picture of what the final product could honestly look like, if even some of these details remain true till the end of development. If I had to bet on just one detail staying the same, I would probably bet on the location choice staying. The fact that they're even willing to admit this anonymously to Jason gives me confidence in this. This info has also been corroborated by other reporters, and it's even reinforced in the article when they talk about lowering the scope of the map size to help with production. In my opinion, this choice for a city is very mixed. Vice City is my favorite GTA title of all time, but I can't help but feel like Rockstar is limiting themselves terribly by using this as their location. There are hundreds of big, amazing cities in the world that they could use, that they haven't used yet, many of which contain environments that are rarely used in GTA. For example, snow. Honestly, my pick for a GTA city would be St. Petersburg, Russia. It's a modern city with a population of about 4 million, with very old architecture and culture surrounding all of the new elements. It still contains a lot of the same water environments that the Vice City area would, and you could even include Estonia and Finland in the St. Petersburg map. It's actually 69 kilometers less distance from St. Petersburg to Helsinki than it is from Miami to Havana. I'm taking kind of a leap by assuming they're going to include Cuba in GTA 6, but honestly they'd be dumb not to. But I think I made my point. You see what I mean. I just chose one crazy city off the top of my head, and its geography worked out to be much more diverse than the cities used in previous GTA titles. Not only that, choosing a city not in America would open up a lot more storyline possibilities, because you wouldn't be satirizing American culture. You would be satirizing another country's culture or a world culture. This could have given Rockstar the best of both worlds here. They could have included much more offensive content without, quote, punching down, as they say in the article. But since those options are not on the table now, and we're going back to Vice City, the only way I see this working is if the female protagonist is a mix of Beyonce from the 03 Bonnie and Clyde Jay-Z video, and Catalina from GTA San Andreas.
You get your sorry ass in here right now, Carl Johnson, or I shove a fucking hand grenade up it.
Or a character kind of similar to her. This would be a smart way to go, because the list of shenanigans you two could get into is damn near endless. It could be a reality TV show.
This Carl? This is my new man. Are you jealous? Are you going to fight for me?
God, I love Catalina. She's so hot. I think she's the perfect example of how a character can be heavily stereotyped while not disrespecting the race, gender, religion,
Hallelujah! Another soul saved!
or culture they come from. In my opinion, all Rockstar has to do is pair her up with a white dude that she can abuse the shit out of, And they've got most of their story right there. Might as well lean into the one thing we're still allowed to make fun of: white dudes. Some of you might be thinking though, why do people need to be abused or made fun of at all? There are tons of good, very successful games that don't do this at all. The problem is those games haven't built their entire identity and soul around satirizing the most evil parts of our society. These are pretty much the only types of games Rockstar makes. These types of games require that a very accurate parody of the real world is created. If you try to set one of these games on a different planet or something, it just becomes Star Wars.
As a meatbag would say, I have a bad feeling about this.
There aren't really many choices for Rockstar to take here. I think a perfect analogy for this is when you try to watch a rated R movie on TV. Except in the case of Grand Theft Auto, it's kind of like if you were trying to watch a Serbian film on TV. They could show like 5 minutes of it. But what the hell do I know? I'm probably just way too critical on this whole subject. It's not like the squeaky clean content isn't popular. I mean, hell, the Hallmark Channel is the 10th most popular channel in all of TV as of 2021, so it's not like there's no market for it. It's just not what I prefer. The problem is that no amount of wholesome, clean content can make up for a disorganized game and lack of a shared vision and creation process, and the lack of that shared vision between all of the teams, not just within them. And sadly, all the clues about the work environment point to this being the issue. Jason highlights some interesting points here as he's quoting his anonymous sources. When Jason asks them about how they're dealing with all the changes in management and additions of new people to the teams, they give him semi-conflicting answers. Here's the couple examples I'm talking about. Quote, "Can a kinder, gentler Rockstar still produce the chart-topping caliber of game the studio has become known for? Some employees aren't sure. Morale across the company is higher than it has ever been, according to many staffers. But the development of Grand Theft Auto 6 has been slower than impatient fans and even longtime employees have expected. Much of this is due to the pandemic, but the delay is also due to some of the changes the company has implemented in an effort to improve working conditions. Some workers say they are still trying to figure out how to make games at this new iteration of Rockstar and wonder what a Grand Theft Auto game looks like in today's environment." All this says to me is that the work environment is more chill and people are happier, but less is getting done because employees are confused on what the scope of the project is, who their boss is, and how to get their problems solved. Another example from the article is when they mentioned the departure of Imran Sarwar and how they had to replace him with 3 directors. This created what several people described as a too many cooks situation, where design decisions are frequently left in flux or contradict one another. Some core aspects of the game, such as combat, were still going through changes even as developers expected them to be locked down. This is a perfect encapsulation of the virus that infects Rockstar games. In an attempt to solve one problem, they create 3 more. Unclear leadership like this will lead to morale falling very quickly, first of all. And second of all, it will make the designers less motivated to be creative or take risks. Because every time they do, they have to go get it cleared with 3 different bosses.
I have 8 different bosses right now.
I beg your pardon?
8 bosses.
8?
This will end up like an Office Space situation where all the employees just do the bare minimum they have to do not to be hassled.
My only real motivation is not to be hassled. That and the fear of losing my job, but you know, Bob, that'll only make someone work just hard enough not to get fired.
And according to this article, it already has started turning into that. As Jason states in this paragraph, some employees said they found themselves waiting around to communicate through middlemen, or that it felt like multiple people were in charge, leaving them unsure of who should make the final call. This was a major issue right after the firing of Imran Sarwar. And the only reason this became an issue at all is because Rockstar didn't take the time, do the due diligence, and find the right person for that job. They instead filled it with 3 people, trying all to do the same job at the same time. Hell, I wouldn't trust the leadership there either if I worked there. I've worked at companies like that before where they'll hire somebody brand new to rule over people that have been there for 10 years. It's about as useful as a televangelist's advice on how to get into heaven.
Need to anoint your billfold with this oil for a financial blessing.
Satan gave me this mess.
I think Satan gave me this message to give to you guys, because this next quote is pretty damn revealing. Most people will read this and think nothing of it, but it means more than you think. And here's the quote. Several Rockstar employees pointed out that you can't really satirize today's America. It's already a satire of itself. First of all, this is BS. If America was truly a satire of itself, we would all be laughing at the contradictions. But most of us are not laughing. America is not a satire of itself. We're our own worst enemy, if anything. The much more accurate version of that statement would be, America is so crazy right now, we just can't make fun of it. But it sure sounds better when you're blaming America for the problem, and not your company's lack of problem-solving ability. This is definitely one of those corporate lazy blanket statements designed to be used as an all-in-one excuse for almost any critique on their content choices. It can work for tons of things, like anything added to the game by accident, or even content they want to remove after release, just because they feel like it.
Because I felt like it.
Sadly, this reinforces my main points from my original GTA 6 Will Be Trash video, about how losing leadership of this caliber will change the entire soul of a company, and it's really hard to replace. And the whole article is exact proof of that beginning to happen. 2 years is plenty of time to turn this train around, however, but they really gotta stop proving me right. Please, Rockstar, prove me wrong. Don't leave us with the E for everyone Grand Theft Auto 6. Okay, I'm gone.
Peace.